Good day, friends! We are back again for your daily dose of contemporary knowledge. Let's go! Before we start, let's do a short review of what this episode is all about. Population and mobility. Population refers to the people or the total number of individuals residing on a particular region, country, or are individuals occupying a particular area. Mobility or migration is basically the movement of people from one place to another with the intention of settling permanently or temporarily at a new location. Take note of these terms because you will encounter them later. Demography is the statistical study of human population. Mortality refers to health and death, and fertility is in regards to birth. I think you guys are ready now. Boss Ray, take it away.
Let me introduce to you to a population theorist with villainous tendencies, Thomas Malthus, or should I say, Thanos Malthus. Thomas Malthus wrote the book, an essay on the principle of population, that is somewhat parallel to the famous line of our purple map titan friend, Thanos.
Universe is finite, its resources finite. If life is left unchecked, life will cease to exist.
Our villain/hero, depending on how you understand him, believes that the resources of our world must be consumed by the proportionate population size in order to experience maximum convenience. But unlike Thanos, who wants to snap after collecting all the 6 Infinity Stones, Malthus have his two types of checks, namely positive checks composed of calamities, diseases, war, availing prostitution to limit population growth, and the use of birth control. Lastly, preventive checks comprising celibacy, late marriage, and abstinence to limit population growth. Similar with Thanos, Malthus wants to correct the things that he perceived as wrong, specifically the Act for Relief of the Poor 1601, or what is popularly known as the Elizabethan Poor Law that wants to provide relief for the poor. He believed that it spreads more evil because it spreads dependency of the poor to the Her Majesty government, and he wants the poor to feel pain, basically to give lessons. But like the perfectly written villain, Malthus was also criticized because the predictions on the rapid population growth doesn't occur that time, specifically in England. Advancement in technology resulting to mass production that counters Malthusian theory. However, in the modern times, people need more space for shelter. And the living standards of people has increased also instead of decreasing, as predicted by Malthus because of imbalance in production and population growth, as stated in the argument of Thomas Robert Malthus.
Moving on with more technical theory of population, demographic transition theory, which describes the 4 stages of population growth. Follow a pattern that connect birth and death rates with the stages of development. Stage 1 happens during the pre-industrial societies, namely hunting and gathering, horticultural and pastoral, and agrarian societies. It is also called as a stage of high population growth potential. This stage is characterized by high birth rates and high fluctuating death rates. The population growth is very slow because of the Malthusian preventive and positive checks. During this stage, majority of the death rates are concentrated in the first 5 to 10 years of life because of the diseases they can prevent due to lack of technical advancement in medicine. Countries like Uganda, Zambia, and Afghanistan are still under this stage. Stage 2 occurs during the early industrial societies, whereby death rates drop but the birth rates remain high, hence the rapid growth of population. The decline in death rate is due to first, improvements of food supply, including the agricultural practices like selective breeding, crop rotation, and farming techniques. The better transportation that reduces the death rates due to the starvation and the lack of water. Second, improvements in public health, including the access to technology, basic healthcare, and education, and also improvements in the areas of food handling, water supply, sewerage, and personal hygiene. Also, an increasing survival of children means growing population. Countries like Guatemala, Iran, Iraq, and also the Philippines are in this stage. Stage 3 happens during the late industrial societies, where the birth rates start to decline due to enhanced economic conditions, expansions in women's status and education, and access to contraception. An important note that the decline in birth rate is not only caused by the availability of contraceptives, but also the transition of the values. The death rate is slow and constant, while the population continues to grow fast because the birth rates remain higher than the death rates. The stage is also called stationary population. Stage 4 occurs in the post-industrial societies, where they have low birth and death rates leading to a total population stability. Death rates are low due to lower rates of diseases and higher food production. Birth rates are low due to women have more opportunities to empower themselves, prioritizing their careers than creating a family and men more. Examples of countries that are currently in stage 4 are Argentina, Australia, Canada, China, Brazil, most of Europe, Singapore, South Korea, and the US. Stage 5 happens during the post-industrialization. The demographic transition model originally only has 4 stages, but additional stages have been proposed and only some theories acknowledge this stage. Both more fertile and less fertile futures have been claimed as stage 5. Recent studies show that in many countries with a very high levels of development, fertility rates are now beginning to increase, except from Germany, Japan, and Italy.
If there's a DTT, then here goes the epidemiological transition theory. It was first proposed by Abdel Omran in 1991, stating that there are 3 phases of mortality. During those times, healthcare has been improving and infectious disease turned into chronic diseases as a major factor of mortality. The epidemiological transition theory is closely related to the process by which the pattern of mortality and disease directly influence the increase of mortality among infants and children. An episodic famine, an epidemic affecting all age groups to one of the degenerative and man-made diseases affecting principally the elderly. The first stage occurred in the pre-industrial society, is also called as the age of pestilence and famine. There is increase in the infectious disease, malnutrition, which is common in the Neolithic age. The Black Plague is also known as the beautiful disease because of its symptoms, along with buboes and gangrene. Crippled the population by approximately 450 million in the 14th century. It is a disease originated from the Central Asia, carried by fleas living on black rats to the Mediterranean basin and Europe. Stage 2. The age of preceding pandemics. The mortality decrease and the average life expectancy increases. Though there is a gradual increase in birth rate, the degenerative cardiovascular diseases, cancer, violence, accidents, and substance abuse make the population decline. Stage 3 often occurs in late industrial societies, is also known as the age of degenerative and man-made diseases, since the main cause of mortality decrease are the degenerative cell changes
What the fuck was that?
organs weakens and degenerates over time, and the man-made diseases caused by irrational changes in diets, causing diseases like diabetes, osteoporosis, hypertension, and other diseases.
But in 1998, Barrett proposed 2 additional phases. Stage 4, or the age of hybristic disease, came with new diseases that have evolved through time and has become more lethal due to antibiotic resistance. Diseases like Ebola and HIV are examples. And according to the London Post, new diseases are discovered as of 2019, namely Neisseria meningitis, Microplasma genitalium, and Shigella flexneri. Stage 5 occurs in post-industrial societies and is also referred to as the age of aspired quality of life with persistent inequalities. During this phase, birth rate decreases due to the people focusing on careers and a change of priorities. But due to the advancement of technology, lifespans are longer, causing an age-balanced population, though there are still inequalities in aspects like socioeconomic, ethnic, and gender. The quality of life between the developed and the developing countries plays a huge role in this matter. A developed country like UK, birth rates decreased by 2.5% from the previous year, and death rates increased by 1.6%, and their life expectancy reaches 79.2 to 82.9 according to their Office for National Statistics. While a developing country like the Philippines has an increase of 3.8% in their death rate and 2.92 births per woman. Their life expectancy reaches up to 71.66 years according to the Philippine Statistics Authority. Thus, showing that people with harsher living conditions or with lack of needs have lower life expectancy compared to those who live with a much comfortable life.
In a small world after all.
In a small world after all.
It's a small world after all.
Yes, it is really a small world. A world that becomes too small for us to fit in. The reason? Numbers. These numbers never stop and continue to add up. A shocking fact about our increasing population. To deeply realize on what is really happening with these numbers that is really alarming, here's population distribution and density. One way to understand on how population is distributed is through turning this to this. And with this, we can refer China and India as the giants. On the other hand, Russia and Australia, who used to be giants, turn to dwarfs. And we could figure out that the most of the numbers are being abnormal when we consider the number of people inhabits with respect to their area. And with this, we can take the concept of population density, which defines the number of people divided by the land area in square kilometer. To appreciate this concept, let's go back to the world map through this ordinary world map to this. The darker the color, the denser it is. And with this, Bangladesh really stands out with its 1,252 square kilometer record. But here in the Philippines, we can really find the most surprising number because of its identity of being the most densely populated city in the world. Its capital? Manila. With 42,857 square kilometer, with its 42.88 square kilometer, it is shockingly accommodating 13,698,889 people as of 2019. On the 2017 study of Paul Cusack on physical, economic, and optimum population density, it showed in the study the computed optimal or ideal population density, and it says it is 300% per square kilometer. And with Manila, it extremely exceeds the optimum population density. As a result, greatly congestion happens, and to cope with this, condos, apartments are being constructed, trying to fit in numerous people in one area. We love people, not their numbers.
Hey, what's wrong? You see? Farm fields are being converted to residential areas. We don't even know where to plant anymore. Oh my god, I'm late! I hate the traffic. It was bad, right? I should go. I did not expect that much people. These people are experiencing the effects of growing population. The Philippines ranked 13 on the most populated country in the world at a population of 108 million from 106 million last year, with an annual growth rate of 1.72% from 2010 to 2015 according to UN. But it's not just a local concern, it's a global issue. Let's talk about population growth. 12,000 years ago, the world population was about 4 million. Today, it was estimated at 7.7 not million, but billion. From 10,000 BCE to 1700s, the average population growth was 0.04% annually. On the year 1800s, the world population was around 1 billion, and since then, it has increased to a staggering 7.7 billion. See, most of this growth happened recently. Think about this. Around 108 billion people inhabited the Earth since the beginning of time. Today's population is 6.5% of the total number of people ever born in this planet. Most of the population has always been in Asia at 60% today and 68% 200 years ago. North America's population grew 31 times bigger. It is the fastest population growth for the past 2 centuries. Followed by Latin America that grew 21 times bigger. Next Africa 14 times, then Asia 6 times, and Europe that grew 3 times in the same period. Here are the top 5 countries that contributes to the world population. China at number 1 with 1.42 billion, followed by India at 1.37 billion. Next is United States at 329 million, then Indonesia 269 million, and at number 5, Brazil with population of 212 million. It is expected that India will soon outrank China in the next decade. So what will happen in the future? The peak of population growth was in 1968, with annual population rate of 2.1%. But since then, the increase slowed down, and today it is growing at a rate of 1% annually. It is then projected by UN that by the end of the century, the rate will fall to 0.1%. We are then on our way to a new balance where lawful tyranny keeps changes in population small.
I hope everyone's still there, for this is the last part of our episode. Internal migration, external migration, immigration, and emigration are the basic types of migration. Internal migration is the moving within a state, country, or continent, while external migration is the moving in a different state, country, or continent. For example, if Joy moves from Visayas to Luzon, it is internal migration. Moving from the Philippines to Canada is an external migration. Emigration is the leaving of one's country to move to another. On the other hand, immigration is the moving in from a country to a new one. So, if Joy is going out of the Philippines to enter Hong Kong, it is emigration. Entering Hong Kong to move out of the Philippines is called immigration. Most global migration is from developing countries to the developed ones. United States is the top recipient of international migrants, having 49,777,000 in the year 2017. Causes of migration can be seen as a series of push and pull factors. Those factors which either push someone into migration or attract them. Different types of push factors include poor medical care, not enough jobs, and few opportunities. Some of the pull factors are chances of getting jobs, better living standards, education, and better medical care. In the Philippines, large number of Filipinos have left the country in search of permanent settlement or temporary work overseas. According to the Philippine Statistics Authority, more than 10 million Filipinos are currently working abroad. The Middle East receives the largest share of OFWs with 64%. 6 of the top 10 destinations for new hires and rehires were from this region, namely Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Kuwait, Oman, and Bahrain. This is followed by Asia with 28%, and the remaining top destinations were in Singapore, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Malaysia. The patterns of migration are changing. In our country, Davao was named as one of the 22 cities with most affected by the migration phenomenon. According to World Economic Forum, the president's hometown is considered a top destination for migrants because it is the center of trade in Mindanao and it offers high-paying jobs and agricultural development. Naga is also one of the cities with a growing international population. With this large number of migrants in different cities, leaders are now facing various challenges such as ways to meet the needs of the migrants and the people in the city. Migration is seen by the locals negatively. It makes them afraid of losing their jobs to the migrants and increased cost of services, and also having more people in the community puts too much pressure on natural resources. However, there are also positive effects of migration. It helps in improving the quality of life of a person and also causes the exchange of cultural experience and new knowledge.
That's it for your daily dose of contemporary knowledge. Be sure to stay tuned and be ready for another learning, discovering, and exploring our contemporary world.